boys. Do it. You're good boys. You boys staying socially distanced from bunnies? No! Okay, I'm jonesing for hockey pretty bad right now. Is anyone else in the same boat? I got caught down a hockey YouTube rabbit hole today. I was watching just Phil Kessel wrist shots, and then Ovechkin shots, and then I decided I should make a video. When was the last time I made a video? And then I saw that the video I made about the Leafs signing European free agent Mikko Lehtinen has 94,000 views! And I thought, you must be jonesing for hockey content too. The 7-year anniversary of the Leafs Game 7 loss to Boston, I know a lot of you are trying to forget it, was recently, and it made me think of some old videos. And on my channel alone, I've lost count, like 1,500, 2,000 videos. Add Sportsnet, CBC, every other video to that, it's like 3,000 or 4,000 videos. So I decided to look back, and I was hoping you could look back with me. Here are my top 10 most popular videos. Number 10, May 14th, 2013, Boss Stunned. Yeah, it's that game. With 127,000 views so far, that is my 10th most popular video on this channel. You might be surprised that that video is not number 1, 2, and 3, considering how scarring that Leaf game was for a generation, several generations of Leaf fans. There's a few reasons that I don't think this video did so well. 1, I didn't have nearly as many followers back then. 2, listen. Grrr, you hear the fan of my computer. This YouTube channel was a pretty low budget operation for a really long time, and it was really low budget back then. Had an external webcam for a while, it was $27. Shot on the computer for a while, had to shoot on my dad's computer when that computer was in the shop. There's a giant window behind me. No part of my education did they say, shoot with a giant window behind you. And maybe most importantly, I don't think I did this game justice, I really don't. I made this video the morning after the Game 7 loss, which was a mistake, but it was a necessary one on account of I still lived with my parents at the time, and they were sleeping across the hall when I got home. Can you imagine? It was 4-1! I wanted to freak out, I wanted to scream, I wanted to rage, and by the next morning, it was just somber sadness. But the video is a heck of a time capsule if you want to rewatch it. Number 9, April 26th, 2018. Boss Stunned Redux. What? I don't know if it's the healthiest way to start feeling better, but do you want your fish? I don't think there's a big enough fish in the world. Ah, look, it's the Bruins again. Always happy when the Bruins show up. See, this video is a lot different from the last one because the Leafs blew a third period lead in Game 7 to Boston. Except, you know, it was 5 years later and I was a little bit fatter. It is a funny little time capsule though, even though it was only 2 years ago, because it captures a different mood. Oh, people were still mad. Leafs Nation was mad that the Leafs blew that to Boston so badly. Their third period was so awful. Jake Gardiner getting carved again. But this video doesn't capture the anxious desperation in the Leafs fan base right now, because at the time, it still wasn't quite there. 2017 was a first round loss, 6 games to the Washington Capitals, and a lot of Leaf fans look back at that like it was the good times, and there was a little linger of that the next year with Boston. The team was clearly much better, had clearly taken steps, and had clearly run into a very good team. But a line was drawn in the sand after this loss. The Leafs cannot do this again, and if they do, people are gonna get upset. It's kind of fun to look back on though, because there was still so much more patience then, whereas now it feels like every regular season loss is a meltdown. Number 8, uploaded October 13th, 2016. Fuse. Hi! Welcome to the 10th season of LFR! I'm gonna let you in on something you probably could have figured out for yourself, but when I make these videos, I sweat buckets. And this video that I made after Auston Matthews' NHL debut, his 4-goal NHL debut, it might be the most I've ever sweat making a video. I lost it. You might as well laugh. You might as well joke. You might as well yuck it up for as long as you can. As for years to come, shots from Riley and Nylander and Marner and Matthews rain down on you like frogs and locusts. You gotta remember, the Leafs just finished in last place. This was their first game after finishing in last place, and this kid, this godsend, drops 4 goals in his first NHL game, and all I saw after the game was people goofing on the Leafs because, of course, that they lost when a player of theirs scored 4 goals. Kyle Turris getting the overtime winner for the Ottawa Senators in this one, and sort of Matthews' guy. And I shot the video that night, and it's like I was shot out of a cannon. It was a combination of anger at all the goofing on going on online, but also, oh, this kid, oh, you're in trouble. You can make fun of this kid now, but he is going to be something so special, and this team's days in the basement are over. Thews was a fun one. Definitely one of my favorites. Number 7, uploaded June 20th, 2016. Freddie Andersen is a Leaf! Oh my god, it's not a time to penny. You calm down, Carlton! This is a stressful time and you have to grin and bear it. Because he's a bear. Wow, this is a huge, enormous deal. And here's how it all goes down, okay? I find out about the trade. It comes across my phone. Hey, Steve, a giant trade happened. And I'm in the grocery store at the beginning of being in the grocery store. And I'm not even by myself. I'm with my wife, so I can't make the executive decision to just leave the grocery store and go, well, I guess I'm eating garbage tonight. So if you grocery shop in Oshawa, I'm sorry, because I was just going through aisles, just breaking ankles. Considering the monumental things that have happened to the Leafs over the years, I'm surprised this one ranks so high. But look at how important Freddie Andersen has been to the Leafs over the few years that he's been here, and you can kind of get it. Not to mention, this was a huge trade for Lou Lamoriello, who at the time was the Leafs GM. Trading to get Freddie Andersen away from the Anaheim Ducks, and one of the pieces that Lou gave up in that deal was the first rounder that the Leafs received from the Pittsburgh Penguins for Phil Kessel. Of course, that first rounder was basically a second rounder because the Penguins won the Cup that year and Phil Kessel became a Stanley Cup champion. But I'm going to remind everyone though, the last game the Toronto Maple Leafs played before this trade, they finished in last place in the NHL. What are you doing trading a first-round pick for a backup goalie from a California team and then signing him to a major deal that's never burned you before, except Jonathan Bernier and Vesa Toskala? I loved Freddie Andersen at the time. I thought he was great with the Ducks, but it did seem a little bit like history might repeat itself, and to give a guy 5 times 5, Hulu! But of course, en route to finishing in last place, the Leafs traded James Reimer to the San Jose Sharks. They fed Garrett Sparks and Jonathan Bernier to the Lions to finish out that season, and then traded Jonathan Bernier. They had to do something, and look at it. Freddie's been great. Always thinking about food. Number 6, uploaded May 1st, 2016. The Leafs won a thing! No! NHL draft lottery. Hi, Oilers. Hey, come here for a sec. Come here for a sec. I want to... Give me that. The Leafs won a thing. This was one of the 2 videos that I made after the Leafs won the 2016 draft lottery, and look who it led to. Auston Matthews being a Leaf. And you might notice I said 2. There is this video where I completely lose my mind, and then there's a video on Sportsnet, which is a live reaction of me completely losing my mind. I was in a room in the Hockey Night in Canada studio, CBC, with Luke Fox and Jeff Merrick. Luke was just kind of politely sitting there. Jeff badly wanted the Jets to get the first pick because he wanted the Arizona native Auston Matthews to go to Winnipeg. The irony of it all, I get it, Jeff, it's funny, but screw that, we need the first pick, man! They got it, I lost it, it was an amazing time, and I tell some stories from the night. You gotta watch it. Number 5, uploaded July 1st, 2018. John Tavares is a Leaf! John Tavares is a Leaf! Oh my! Josh Joris is also a Leaf. But you know who else is a Leaf? Is John Tavares! You may notice the terrible echo going on in this video, and that's because this room was half destroyed. It was half concrete because the basement flooded just before Game 3 of the Boston series, and we still hadn't got it fixed yet. So the studio was, it was in repair, but still in use. This is another one where there's actually 2 videos. A produced one like this, and a live stream where I was actually watching Sportsnet's Free Agent Frenzy coverage, and when Elliot Friedman says that John Tavares is a Leaf.
It sounds like it's a 7-year deal in Toronto for Tavares. Sounds like it's a 7-year I believe it's a 7-year deal. Yeah. In Toronto.
Oh my god!
That the Toronto Maple Leafs have acquired John Tavares.
They're both definitely worth watching. And then, of course, in Tavares' first season as a Leaf, he dunked 47 goals. Number 4, uploaded November 18th, 2014. Nope! What?
Nashville just scored.
Again?
Yeah, they got 9 goals now.
So it's 9-2. You hear that? Thanks, Mrs. Dangle. It's friggin' 9-2 now! Kinda says it all. I could have put the whole video in here, because at 2 minutes and 53 seconds, it's the shortest video in the top 10. It was also the quickest to go viral for quite some time on my channel. So here's what's going on. The Leafs are getting spanked 8-2 by the Nashville Predators. I go downstairs, decide to make a video. Halfway through, my wife yells down at me that Nashville has actually scored a 9th time, and I go even more nuts. I was only about 2 months into a job at Sportsnet, working behind the scenes, working late into the night, and I was relatively early on in my work night, around 9 o'clock, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna lose my mind, it's gonna be really short, and I'll upload it. Before I went to bed, the video had already hit 10,000 views, which was bananas for me. I woke up the next morning to text that I was on the radio and TV and all kinds of things. I had to go into work for something, and as I walk into the studio, Sid Sixero sees me and just stands up at his desk. Steve Dangle, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Dangle. And you would already know the story if you read my best-selling book, This Team is Ruining My Life, but I love them. Not to mention Colby Armstrong, who's now my coworker at Sportsnet, but at the time was on this Leafs roster, later ended up writing part of the foreword of my book, because life is silly, goofy, funny. Even though that video is nearly 6 full years old now, it's still on the Mount Rushmore of this channel. Look at me! Look at my face! Look at the utter befuddlement! Number 3, uploaded April 24th, 2019. This team is ruining my life! Leafs lose 5-1 in Game 7 to the Boston Bruins, to the Boston Bruins, to the Boston Bruins! You couldn't even let me have the fact that it was 4-1! You had to make it 5-1! With a second left, you couldn't even let me have the fact that it was funny that it was 4-1! Oof, Steve, that beard. So, this video is the exact opposite of Boss Stunned, the first time that the Leafs lost in Game 7 to Boston. It's even significantly different from the second time the Leafs lost a 7-game series to Boston, Boss Stunned Redux. This third one? Nope, no going to bed before shooting the video, no letting up on the team because it's still a young group that's learning. You were supposed to beat them this time, and you blew it! It was such a hurricane of emotion, mostly anger, because the first time the Leafs lost in Game 7 to Boston, they overcame a 3-1 series deficit. They weren't the better team. The second time, even though they went into the third period with the lead again, they overcame a 3-1 series deficit. They were not the better team. This time, you could have swore the Leafs deserved to beat them. They were the better team. And Game 7 was their worst game of the entire series. And of course, everyone remembers Matthews barely playing, the immediate calls for Babcock to get fired. I take it back, this one might have been the video that I sweat the most in. It was hellfire and brimstone from start to finish. It's a lot more temper than tempered, and it's over half an hour long. Dude, I shaved halfway through the video. But it captured the mood of the moment, and it was a mood that would continue into the first 2 months of the 2019-2020 season. Number 2, uploaded July 2nd, 2015. Phil Kessel, an era wasted. And the Phil Kessel trade, which sends him to the Pittsburgh... Phil Kessel's a Pittsburgh Penguin! Alright, okay. I'm upset. Era! This one was definitely a hurricane of emotions because Phil Kessel getting traded in 2016 was a move that did need to happen. This one was a hurricane of emotions too because Phil Kessel getting traded in 2015 was absolutely a move that needed to happen. The team was trying to finish in last place. Are you good? Get out of here. And I'm wrong a lot, but boy did I nail the Penguins angle of this. They were getting them to win, and they better win now. And there was a lot of anxiety after this because of all the conditional picks. In December, it looked like Phil Kessel wasn't working, and the Penguins weren't even going to make the playoffs. What happened shortly after? Mike Sullivan became head coach, the Penguins became the Penguins, won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and Phil Kessel is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. This is just one of 2 videos on my channel to pass 300,000 views, and in fact, it hit 300,000 views the day after the number 1 video was uploaded. Number 1, uploaded February 22nd, in 2020. They lost to a Zamboni driver! The Toronto Maple Leafs lost an actual National Hockey League game to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who works for them! If you're watching this video a few months or years into the future, hello. If you're watching it the day I upload it, this was less than 3 months ago, and I watched my team lose to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who works for them! Actually, he works for the Marlies. Not better! And at that time, not loving life, not loving the Leafs, not loving hockey. You know what I could do without it? And can I just say, right now, I would happily watch my team lose to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who works for them again. And I dare not tempt fate because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They just might. So, what'd you think of that list? Did you notice anything? I did. A few of my top 10 videos so far are positive things. Even the Leafs winning things. They win the draft lottery. They win the Tavares sweepstakes. You might notice they didn't win a single game. Not one of my top 10 videos so far, not one, is about the Leafs winning a hockey game. In fact, you gotta scroll all the way down to number 25 to get my highest viewed Leafs win. That, of course, being a video called Full Biblical, and it's about the Leafs' first game of the 2017-18 season where they spanked the Winnipeg Jets 7-2. The original Prospect Pyramid video has more views than it. My Mikko Lehtinen video has more views than it. Come on. Did any of the videos on the list surprise you? Some of them surprised me, and I'd love to know if there are any videos that aren't on that list that you think should be. So there it is. Hopefully you enjoyed that socially distant stroll down memory lane, and if you needed a rabbit hole to go down right now, hopefully this one scratches your itch. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends, and stay safe.